Another episode of On the Ramp. It is your guys, Alex Lindley, Ryan O'Donnell, and Nathan Taylor.
Got the intro. Yeah. Working out, Nathan.
Nah.
No, it looks like a keg, doesn't it?
I'm just really good looking. I did 100 days, didn't I?
Yeah. What, you knocked it on the
Did 100 days like 3 years ago. You
I
still
know,
hanging on to that.
Oh, it's just said. Christ.
Well, you have lost weight because you're not.
A barrel.
Did
You're
you,
not a keg anymore.
did you put some on?
Yeah, for Germany. He went, oh, you like a keg?
I hugged him and my arms like.
Never made it round.
Right, welcome back to another On the Ramp. And this is another Chew the Fat.
Episode 5.
Maybe.
Maybe episode
I'm not
5.
decided yet.
Right. Can we go with episode 5?
Maybe. Might be episode 6.
Might
Welcome
do.
to
Well,
episode
5
6.
or 6, whichever it comes out.
The last Chew the Fat was Evie.
Yes.
We had some interesting responses.
Yeah, we did.
Comments,
Lots
which
of them.
we'll go over in a future episode, especially on TikTok. If you follow us on TikTok, you can see
You can
what
really,
some
really
of
provoke, can't you?
some of those comments said. Anyway, what we're talking about today? What we're chewing the fat on
Funny
today?
you just said TikTok because it's about marketing.
It's like I did that on purpose, wasn't it?
What are the chances?
Lovely setup.
Yeah, it was,
Unreal.
wasn't it? Teed that up.
You was like Perlo.
Teed that up and
nodded it in the
air
net.
swing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Right, perfect. So marketing. We've got a guest with us today, Ryan, who's marketing
Hello.
director of Lindley's.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us.
No problem.
So Ryan, Alex, obviously you two work closely together all the time.
So a bit of context for some of the listeners then who may not know. So we're involved in run a company called Lindley's Auto Centres. And Ryan joined us how long ago, mate? It's
2016.
2016.
So
it's
it's
like
been
8 years.
now.
Yeah. And at the time, back then, I was doing a little bit of marketing myself.
A bit of everything.
You were
really,
selling
weren't you?
some crappy newspaper adverts to us. Did you know I used to work for a local newspaper? Yeah.
Yeah. The Chronicle. Was it?
Basically
Nottingham Post.
robbing from us to put adverts in a newspaper. And
I
then
promise you,
my
it does
best
really well.
customer
It does
as
really
well,
well.
yeah.
Yeah.
one day he convinced us that we need him as an employee. So he actually
Turns
sold
out
us.
it was an excellent value.
It was an excellent,
it's
yeah.
a
It was
good choice.
one
good
of the
purchase. That was
one of the
mate.
best things
Well
he
done.
ever sold. That
Yeah,
was so.
Absolutely.
Ryan joined us back then, and you kind of took over the marketing.
Yeah. So, came in as business development, really.
Oh, that was
first.
it. Actually, yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Kind of tried to work on getting contracts. We were actually quite successful, but we
Yeah.
kind of just naturally went into
Well, I was
doing the marketing, that kind of thing, and helping with the sales and marketing side, really.
If I remember rightly, it was pretty much just Facebook, wasn't it? That was
It was, yeah.
right
And I had
back then.
zero idea, really.
Of what-
I'm sure Alex could find out the first ever bit of design. I did.
Oh yeah, like
Really?
1998 Word clip art, and he sent it to me like for approval. Like, what do you think of this? Like, yeah, it's nice.
Don't want to kill my
Pish,
feelings,
mate. No
but,
good.
Yeah.
Get rid of that.
Talking
He
to
was
my
nice about it, to be fair.
Well, would do. It's your employee, mate.
yeah. But one thing led to another, and ultimately 8 years later, you're handling marketing director now at Lindley's Auto Centres. I've been for several years.
Yeah, and for me that's been amazing because I've always been, from the start of my journey before Walsall Tire, I've always been quite passionate about marketing and how that's going to look for me moving forward. And although I've been passionate about it and not really put the time into it, but as I come as a Garage Hive customer and got to know you guys, and obviously meeting Ryan was really exciting for me because he's like, he speaks a similar language.
Yeah.
And I was sort of a wash of people that didn't really speak my language. So I connected with Ryan quite quickly.
There is a shortage as well. There's not really too many, some people solely employed to do marketing.
Yeah, no, not at all. And I
independent
think that
garage.
this is why it's good for us to do an episode because it's going to allow us to sort of create a bit of a basic framework for people that are still at the basic level, and we can put a few things, let's say a checklist of things in place that the viewers can go through and go, right, I have got that in place, I don't have that, I do have that, and then you can start to look to the next step. I think a lot of people sort of that have take a look at my business or other businesses, they would love to replicate sort of what we do, but what we do is off the basic on the basics that we've got in place already. Yeah, we already have the back end in place. So you have to build the back end, and then you can move forward onto the next step.
100%,
So let's potentially go through a bit of housekeeping for what people need to go through with their business.
And what some of the fundamentals and basic marketing is like, you have to take a layering approach, don't you? In that all marketing works other marketing better as well. So if you've got some fundamentals in place, some marketing is going to perform well. Like a really extreme example of that, let's say you did run a really expensive AdWords campaign, but your website was awful, then you're going to spend loads of money sending clicks to a terrible website. But then let's say you have a good website, but your phone manner's terrible.
Yeah.
You're going to send a load of clicks to a nice website to someone terrible on the phone. So I think this is a thing when people think of marketing, they just think social media, signage, logos, and it's more than that. It's much more than that. It's how you answer the phone, how people perceive your brand as such.
It's a complete ecosystem on its own.
It is an ecosystem.
In its own entirety, it's a complete ecosystem. So what do we need at the top?
I mean, if you work from backwards forwards, I mean, if you go to the very basics, everybody, and probably the best marketing you can ever do is word of mouth, right? And that does start because it's completely free and it's built off the back of good service. So if you're getting people speaking highly about your business to other people, that means you're doing a reasonably good job as an absolute fundamental.
I think they bought into you. If somebody's
willing to speak,
they're happy with what they're receiving. They've had a good, pleasant experience by using you. If they are willing to be an advocate for your business as such.
How have you made that person feel by solving their problem?
Exactly,
is the easiest.
So back to fundamentals. Do a good job.
Yeah,
obviously, you have to do a good job.
And I'd like to think that anyone that's watching this has that one ticked off already. Yeah. So well done to everyone. Step 2, let's go.
But we every business works off word of mouth, but we want to go beyond word of mouth. We want to grow our customer base outside of our usual network of customers. We want to reach completely new customers and different customers, right? So
I think the second thing, would be the very, very basics of a website, because not everybody's got one. A Facebook and Instagram.
It's just the function of them. How do they work? I think a lot of people can create a website, and we've seen a lot of dated websites. We've got some great up to date websites, but getting an up to date website which transacts the way that it's supposed to transact. If it is to transact, or if you can book through it, that's great. And then obviously showing the services that you offer is also.
But showing the services you want to offer. So one of the mistakes that I see with websites immediately is, with a lot of websites, is they're promoting stuff on the website that is almost meaningless to a retail customer, and it's actually the lowest value stuff. So I feel like a website needs to pick up the reasonably easy wins. So we all want to
low hanging fruit.
Yeah, you all want to service a car, you all want to do MOTs. I'm very generally speaking here, but let's say you want to service tires, MOT. Make sure that that's very clear on your website.
Yeah.
Don't lead with diagnostic or engine work unless that's all you do.
If that's your bread and butter.
Yeah, but absolutely. Most of the people who need work doing on their car, serve those people. Make sure that they're aware that you do those fundamentals, and you do those fundamentals really well.
Because people haven't got time to mess around. If they your attention span is not there. If you go on a website and it's not saying tires, MOT, right, next website.
They haven't got time to go find that. And actually, if you've prioritized specialist repairs or diagnostic or some of the harder stuff to make work in the industry, the customer might not even realize that you do service work.
Exactly.
But the stuff you do, and you do well, and it's higher margin work, make sure you speak about how well you do that. Make sure you tell them you've got the dealer tools to reset the service line. Make sure you can do the digital service records. If you use certain brands of products, make sure you advertise those certain brands of products. Just do a good job at advertising the basics on your website.
And I think also make it super easy for somebody. I mean, if you only have to look at your own journey. If you're purchasing something online today, you want it to be easy. You want to be able to book online. You don't want to be ringing around. Like the majority of people have not got the time. Well, some people haven't. Some people prefer to speak on the phone, obviously, but you want to be able to book online. I think it's super important that you should have the option to book online for an MOT or some tyres.
I think this stems through sort of like historical behaviour from what was available then to thinking that that's still acceptable now. I think that the generations that have used businesses that have operated for a long time would have called up because that was the only way, or they would have turned up. And I think that generations have recommended their family to come to garages, but the newer generation have embraced all the technologies which are available and are used to almost disregarding what their grandparents would say to go and do and choose what they wanted to do. So they would go, no, I would rather buy from here because this has no friction to it. The garage that Grandad has always told me to go to makes it really difficult for me to book in, and they're not very nice and they're not very clean. So there's lots of things with that. I think it's signalling to all generations that you are there for them in any communication line. That's really important.
And I couldn't agree more. And I still have conversations with people today. And again, this is all opinions, right? These are our opinions. But for me, the ability to transact online is fundamentally critical these days. And if you're not doing it, whilst you're not going to alienate every customer of the younger generation, Lots of them just genuinely won't even bother. If they're shopping at night to book an MOT in and you can't accept an online booking, the odds are, if they're not a loyal customer to yours, they're just going to go elsewhere before you've even given them the chance.
That's a good point what you made. At night, you can't be on reception at night.
You can't.
And also the thing is, people probably want to go to bed knowing that it's sorted. People don't want to wake up the next morning and say, oh, I need to speak to the garage. And if they can't get me in, then that online booking slot that I just give up might not be there too. So then it's like there's an anxiety.
There's very few services nowadays where you can't book online. And the ones which aren't available, GP surgeries, it's a nightmare.
But that they've almost done that. Let's not get into.
They can't book a conversation with us online.
Yeah.
Maybe we can start that.
Shall we?
Yeah, I think we should. That'd be good. Off topic.
But if they can't book online or they can book online, I guess the next stage is just make sure you're answering those phones.
Yeah.
Make sure the number is you don't have a mobile number.
You don't
have a landline.
Yeah. And again, things like email addresses. Some websites, and again, it's all down to perception and professionalism.
100%.
I see some amazing businesses with a at Hotmail or a at Gmail.
Yeah.
Even though the website is on a domain.
Yeah.
Like it's so cheap. It's like £2 a month to get
a 07 number when you can buy literally a mirrored number which will give you a landline.
Again.
And forward it to the mobile if you would like. And another thing that's quite interesting, because we're on two sides of the coin here, is like the brand name, so the name of the business. So you guys, Lindley's, it's not a location. Myself, Warsaw with Tire and Service. We both have sort of like separate visions of this, I suppose, and I think that it sort of goes into one in the end. But like for me, I chose Warsaw Wood Tire and Service, which when people look at me now and they go, "Oh, that's Nathan from Warsaw Wood." But Warsaw Wood's actually an area, not just my business. So we're not Warsaw Wood Tire and Service because it's a name that I've made up. It's a location that we're in, and they're the two main services that I offer. So for me, it was really easy to sort of like dominate my local area on a search basis because I knew people would search for tyres in Warsaw. So it was easy for me to sort of grab early real estate within people's phone books and come and use us for that basis. And then you guys had an opposite sort of look at it.
We were a proper traditional old school family name, which was RB Lindley and Son Limited Engineering.
Almost see that on the side of a HGV, don't you?
Yeah, and it was like, I mean, back when we joined the bit, and it was like 3 generational family, traditional family name. And there's still lots of garages out there with similar sorts of names, but it's a bit of a, it's almost
a mouthful, isn't it?
I think you had the foresight at that point to realise this is not going to work if we want to branch out.
It's not scalable, is it?
No.
Well, it's just, I think a brand fundamentally, starts with a name, doesn't it? And I think a name has to instill trust. It's got to be memorable. It's got to be reasonably unique. And that's, we took a really big decision. It felt like a big decision back then to rebrand from RB Lindley and Son.
Which was very well known, by the way.
It was very, very well known for the wrong type of work when we look back on it, but that's where we made our bread and butter back in the day. But we rebranded to Lindley's Auto Centres because that's like stating our intention.
Yeah,
then and it's scalable. It's still a bit. I mean, the name Lindley is still a bit of a tongue twister, and I've heard all sorts of
and the apostrophe,
all sorts of variations of it, and the apostrophe is missing, which we made national TV about, which was, and I'm not joking. I got a load of messages one night like, "Oh my God, your business is on." Was it ITV or
something like that? Yeah.
And it was all about bad grammar, and Lindley's made the
Love it.
We're on national TV.
Great publicity
because we missed an apostrophe out of
perfect.
our name. Anyway,
it's almost intentional.
All absolutely intentional.
Yeah.
But when we rebranded, it stated our intention, and it was actually, if you have a memorable name, then all marketing folds into building that brand. So it doesn't just become about putting a piece of marketing out there and expecting a return on investment, like a direct booking. You can put some marketing out there and it's like, oh yeah, Lindley's Auto Centres, remember that name.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important that if you're in a garage now and you're not really comfortable with the brand, or it doesn't feel like a brand to you, make the change. Actually create a brand that people can remember.
Yeah.
And when they speak about you, they know exactly what you are, and it's a memorable name.
Feel, be part of, So
same with the colour scheme as well. It's been something that we have got into in recent years. Well, you started it, really, didn't you, when you changed the grey and the blue, and we spent some money the other year to have somebody do it professionally and make us a brand pack, and we feel this is the kind of,
it's good value for money, wasn't it?
You can scale off that as well, can't you? So
but paying a professional design, we did it really cheap back in the day on, I don't know what it was,
Word. Paint.
But we've since paid a professional, and it's not as expensive as you think.
No.
What was it? £1,000. So
Something like that,
I'm not sure what it was.
But again, it's just bread and butter to the people that are doing it every day, and with especially when it comes into marketing, it's like you want to be talking to people that are doing this particular thing every day.
Yeah.
Don't try and have a go at everything without any context, and also if you're not really willing to spend proper time on it. So on the fundamental basis, get the fundamentals, and if you want to start looking aside from it, look at people that are spending proper time doing it. Don't think you can just go and take on the world.
And then once you've got your name, coming back to phone manner, how do you answer the phone? It folds into the name, doesn't it?
All right, mate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's not ideal, is it?
No, it's not.
It's you want to be using your name when answering the phone, and again, it comes back to those fundamentals. How good is the person answering the phone?
It's how good is that person answering the phone, but it's more to how are you making that person feel. Like it's listening to how you're making that person feel.
And I think that comes back to everything, the whole experience.
100%.
How are you making that person feel? If it's a problem, they're not going to come back to you. And
No,
they're not
they're
going
not.
to spread
No.
the word of mouth
No.
because they've not had a good experience.
No.
Absolutely. Yeah, so obviously brand names definitely there. And then looking at how you communicate on other platforms. So you've got directories being one.
Yeah, so again, this comes back to housekeeping. So a real marketing fundamental is obviously your Google Maps, Google My Business page.
Yeah, called Google My Business. So yeah, it is absolutely essential to make sure you're in that map pack. People can find where your address is. It tells what services you do. Gives people the opportunity to leave reviews on there.
Yeah.
It's got a link to your website.
Lots of technologies are leveraging what Google promotes that
Massively.
as well. So like you've got obviously you can link so many things to it, and lots of search engines use your Google My Business page as well.
So if you haven't yet, you need to claim your page. There probably is a page that already exists. You need to claim your page. You need to make sure it's properly updated. You need to make sure all the information is correct. You need to make sure that information matches the information on your website.
Opening hours is a massive one.
Opening hours, phone number, address.
And it can have a real detrimental effect if you don't get this right, which we've recently discovered. Obviously, we're a multi-branch, and we found that the directories didn't match to the addresses.
So when you're talking about directories, you're talking about external websites,
external
like
websites
Yelp.
like Yelp, Cyclex, websites like that, and they'd taken old business names like Alex Lindley and old addresses,
old numbers,
and matched them up to the Google business. They didn't match, obviously, so it really affected our ranking. So we sorted it recently, and seeing that it's had a really positive effect, and we're back up at the top of the maps pack.
I think the bet. So if you're in that, what I recommend that you do is just Google your business name, and you will come up across some directories.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can typically go onto those directories and claim those directories.
Yeah.
That's how these businesses make money. It's how they exist. You don't need to pay, typically speaking. And then just make sure that information is up to date, it's correct, it matches Google My Business, it matches your website. Then your maps are naturally going to do significantly better. So it's just like really straightforward housekeeping. On back on the website, if you're not proud of your website, there are some great services out there these days, which are industry-specific services. 200 odd £200 a month, or I don't know exactly what
Not
it
even
costs.
that much, I don't think some of them
But
are,
it's
are they?
relatively cheap, and you can get a real good industry-specific website that promotes.
And I think if you think of it like, would you spend £500, £200 on your storefront? Of course you would. Of
course you would.
Why wouldn't you do it for your website? Because it's exactly the same thing.
Well, it's your pre-storefront, isn't it?
and people trying to get people to your storefront is one part, but people are actively searching for storefronts. So what does your storefront look like when people are actively searching? People are going to pick the ones that they feel like they want to take their car to.
And I guess one of the things that jumps out to me on websites is when the website's clearly just generic images, as opposed to the actual business, the brand, the people.
I've seen them on 10 other websites.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a really basic thing of marketing.
And SEO does punish you for that as well. I know we're going to.
If it's generic.
If it's very generic, if everyone's using the same image.
Same
people get
copy,
punished,
same images. Yeah.
And then we can look at, like, obviously you talk about copy, that I know a lot of people are starting to dabble with AI, getting them to write copy for websites or copy for certain things at the moment. Depends on obviously which level in the journey you're at. There's a lot of people that are using AI to create descriptions or things for websites. You need to be quite careful, because the platforms that you're putting that AI copy onto can recognise quite quickly that is obviously AI and will lower the ranking
As
of
you
it.
point out, top notch.
Top notch is one thing, and a fostering. So many people are using the word fostering at the minute.
Oh, from it is
Unbelievable.
Is that a favourite
Like
AI?
literally everywhere I walk is fostering or top notch. And
You called me out on it.
yeah, so I called Ryan out on it because I
time.
was like, "You're using ChatGPT, aren't you?" He was like, "How'd you know?" I was like, "Top notch." So it's just being really careful that AI is amazing. There's people that in the industry that are spending more time on it than what I am at the moment, but I'm aware of it and I see it quite clearly that
I think you do notice it, don't you? When
honestly,
you spend
yeah,
more
of course
time
you
around
can.
it,
Yeah.
you notice
Yeah,
the
of
mannerisms.
course you can.
like,
not the mannerisms.
and this is I think the thing
what I
for me is what I've sort of been able to sort of find myself in this position that I'd spend more time looking at this stuff than I probably do because I'm not a technical business owner. I'm just someone that just tries to understand what people are doing. So it's sort of allowed me to sort of then create brand off the back of it. So yeah, spend a bit of time thinking about how you're presenting yourself in all forms on the bottom side of the funnel, and then work your way up.
I think a good example would be is to think of somebody who you really admire, who you see as a good example in the industry, and yeah,
maybe.
Is that where we were going with that?
yeah,
You was
and
leading.
almost not copy it word for word, but use them as a basis.
Use me as a role model.
Yeah, a role model. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do.
Come under my wing.
I just think you just have to think about what does your customer, your potential customer, what journey do they see and what journey do they go on if they want to interact with
Yeah,
you?
absolutely.
Where did they first hear about you? Where have you put yourself for you to be considered by that customer? And if the customer does consider you, what does that journey look like from that point onwards through your website, through your booking system, through you answering the phone?
Just be the purchaser of your own business. So
Exactly.
Imagine you were purchasing from your own business, and don't be the person that's selling to purchasers. Purchase from your business.
Or be very conscious the next time you're looking for something.
Yeah.
Be very conscious of how you behave.
Yeah.
And then there'll be a lot of like quality information in how you behave and what you can apply to your own business.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
it's like if you're looking for a new restaurant and you're Googling restaurant and you look at reviews, which we're gonna touch on, but you go through the website, you might ring them up, they might not answer the phone.
Yep.
Yeah.
You might not be able to book online.
You probably wouldn't go to a nice restaurant and spend a reasonable amount of money at if it had a picture from somebody else's restaurant.
just a generic picture. Yeah. So it is really basic stuff, right? Isn't it?
But
the point
we all
of
get
it.
it wrong. A lot of people get it wrong, and we've been guilty.
Yeah, I
of
think
it
we've
as
all
well.
been. I think we've all been there. We've all sort of like looked past the basics.
I'm sure we've
The
still
thing
got
is,
stuff
when you
wrong.
look at your own website all the time,
I could probably like if you're viewing this, have a look at my stuff, and you'll probably find something that I'm not doing right. So, comment.
Call him out.
Call me
call
out on
him
it.
out.
I deserve it because I'm obviously overconfident.
You're not, mate.
No,
Surely.
I'm humble. I'm
Yeah.
humble.
Completely humble.
Completely.
It's what the word comes to mind when I think of Nathan.
Yeah,
Humble.
Well, if you say the word humble, you see Nathan underneath it. But yeah, so like that's the fundamentals. That's getting the housekeeping in place, and it's always just checking in because platforms are always evolving, things are always changing. So just make sure that when things update, that the links are still correctly linked.
Yeah.
Because when the pages were originally made or the links were originally created, they obviously were created for a reason to link to something. But the web develops all the time, attention changes all the time. So it's also going back over your stuff to make sure it still links.
Housekeeping.
So it's just you don't do housekeeping once.
But you can
all the time.
outsource. You can also if this feels a bit overwhelming to you,
definitely.
you can outsource it. Don't undervalue it.
Yeah.
Is the point. You can outsource them. There's some great agencies out there. Go speak to them. And I think that we've spoke about this entirely from a customer's perspective.
Yeah.
But I think one of the most undervalued parts of marketing is what does it mean to your staff or to your future staff?
Huge.
Because now we're getting into branding. Of course, that absolutely plays a part in what the staff feel about the business and what if you're recruiting.
Yeah.
What do you think a good recruit's going to do? They're going to look up your business. They're going to look at your website, perhaps look at your social media as well, and
And if you haven't got one,
look at your
or
reviews.
if you haven't, it's really poor.
Yeah, it's going to make them think,
gonna
oh,
impact
what
it,
else is wrong with that business? Yeah. In fact, before we get onto staff, we need to speak about reviews. Like,
Yeah, I think it's such a key part of everything, really.
I see reviews as reviews aren't going to get you business. They're going to convert people who are considering you.
They're already there.
They're already there. So if you look at it like if you've got an inquiry coming to you and they're in front of you and they're not in front of you yet, but they're considering you.
Yeah.
Almost immediately they're going to look at that. Yeah, okay, they've got the basics right. Let's look at the reviews. If you've got 4 stars, you might lose that job. What they're looking for is 4.8.
They're looking for real life. They're looking to say, oh yeah, that real things go on there. That's like, it's obviously not fake. It's not. It's not 3 reviews and they're all 5 stars.
To me, I think the most important thing what we've discovered on our website is to have current. Don't let it
frequent
reviews.
Keep on top of it. Yeah, absolutely. So it's ask for reviews. If you feel like you feel like you give a customer a great experience and you've got your review process set up, then ask for reviews. It's great. It's a good thing to ask for. Customers will actively want to support your business back if you ask them, but they're very busy. So don't just presume that it's inconvenient for them, but also don't presume that they won't want to do it.
It's just word of mouth, really, but in a digital format.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is what we talk about when it is word of mouth. Word of mouth, as we've previously known it, is not really the current thing. People don't go out, meet each other, talk about things. That doesn't happen as much like that anymore. What happens is that people word of mouth in a different way these days.
Yeah, but it is like key fundamental. You can have everything we've spoken about already in place, but if you've got bad reviews, so I personally consider things like low 4 as bad reviews. I want to see 4.5 or above really as a minimum. Really, 4. If I see 4.8 stars, it's like right, I've got no problems.
Yeah, and some like replies as well.
You've got to reply.
Replies,
You reply to them.
And again, SEO.
Yeah,
it matters.
Replying. But also a bad. You can get a bad good review. Which is, if a customer's left a 1-star review, even if you've not done anything
you can
wrong,
provide the context as well.
You provide the context, and if you reply in a humble way, I don't know about you guys. This comes down
to your brand again, though. How you reply to things like this, how you deal with, if I'm sure we've all seen the viral post where an owner of a business replies to a bad customer in a harsh manner.
But if I was, it's funny to look at.
You've got to
that's what I'm saying. It's not the right way to do it.
No.
Well, it depends, doesn't it, on what your brand's about? Because you can be classy and you can be funny and a bit edgy, but it's just like, what are you consistent on? Are you consistently funny? Are you consistently humorous? Well, then do that all the time. But if your business model is not to be consistently funny and humorous, then don't do it.
But sometimes you see actual childish replies. To bad reviews. So the customer's left a bad review, but the actual damage is the owner responding in a bad way.
In a derogatory way.
We're all going to get bad reviews. You can't get away from it. Any business in the world is going to get bad reviews.
It's really difficult, so don't get yourself too down if you do, because we've had some, you guys get them. It's like we all get them. It's just how you move forward. You're only as good as your next job. So it's just like, right, you've done that job.
You deal with it,
if you've got to own it, then just move on. Just continue to build brand on top of it. Get more positive reviews.
Yeah, you have to put, but you have to consider, like you said, Ryan, you've got to be you have to consistently push reviews. If you really, one a week is perfectly adequate.
I mean, it depends on the scale of your business. I mean, for us, 1 a day, we need 1 a day, really.
Yeah.
So if somebody visits the front page of our website yesterday,
there's always a fresh
review.
Yeah.
They can see what's currently going on. We're an active business. Yeah.
There's lots of ways you can ask. You can obviously text after the day. Like obviously, there's different depending on what system you use.
Just be quite direct.
Yeah, absolutely.
Honestly, just explain to them. I like the phrase like thank you for using your business. If you'd like to help other people find us, then please. I just love that language.
It meant the world to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, all joking aside, though.
I think, especially if you're a garage who's only doing, like 50 jobs a month, you're going to have a real good relationship with that customer, you would think, when they come to collect.
Of course.
So you asking that question would mean the world to me.
Yeah. And it will convert. And then those good reviews will make every single other piece of marketing you do work better.
100%. I literally had a conversation with Trustpilot yesterday, one of our review platforms, and our reviews were seen on our website. I think it was like over 100,000 times this year so far.
It's insane, isn't it?
It's unbelievable, really.
Do you know what it's called? Reviews are like window cleaning. That's what it is.
Clean your windows.
Clean your windows. Yeah. You've got the window, just clean it.
Good analogy.
I like that. Right, we finished on that. Clean your windows. Next.
So then, moving on to staff. So again, reviews are a really big thing. If it's a high quality member of staff, and they read your reviews where you're replying in a childish way to a bad review, you've lost it.
But you're almost creating a culture within the business, and you're allowing people to do similar things. And I think about this quite a lot. That I'm quite sharp-witted sometimes, and like when you bring that into the culture of the business, people will give their interpretation of sharp-wittedness and things like that, and that might deliver the class that you think you're delivering. So you almost have to take a sort of an ultra-professional approach if that's what you expect from everybody else. If you're okay with everybody else being witty and childish, then cool.
Yeah, but I know what you're saying about be consistent. But for me, the super safe route is just to be apologetic, humble,
Yeah.
and firm, and that's it. That's all you need to be,
And
consistent.
sometimes you're just not going to be able to win. You just have to, answer.
Suck it up.
This is it. This is our stance on it, and you're not going to win them all. But it is what it is.
If you drop the ball, you drop the ball.
So then another big part of again, it comes down to brand and perception. I think is something that we've really focused on running Lindley's is the community work.
Yeah, definitely.
And again, from a staff recruitment perspective and from a new customer perspective, if you're seen to contribute back to the community that you work within, then I think that it's some of the best social content that you can create.
100%,
And what do you stand for?
What do you stand for?
Yeah.
What are your values? And actually,
what do you want to give back?
prove it.
Yeah.
Essentially. And it's
Yeah,
been
and that's something that, like, at time of recording, we're not doing as good a job as what we should be. So, like, this is me putting it out and saying that we will do a better job than that.
We do a good job, I would
You do
say.
you do an awesome job, and not what you're doing with Switch
but
Up.
you
It's amazing.
create the culture within the company.
You do,
as long
yeah,
as you put
and
the events out there, I
would say a lot of our content is created off the back of these charity kind of things,
and do staff
involve
engage with
staff.
that?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
so
mean,
good.
literally
That's so good.
last Sunday, me, Emma, and one of the technicians called Adam did a 5K run for a hospital's charity.
Amazing.
And it's great content. Every how can you not like it?
but it's got to be sincere, hasn't it? You have
to be sincere,
It has
yeah.
to be
Yeah,
all
it's
for the
not as
right
if
reasons.
you don't be doing it for clout. Do it because you're engaged with it. Like, and this is the thing. I think this is where I'm trying to get to. Is like I'm finding something that I genuinely care about, not something that I'm just doing just to show that I'm giving a homeless person a burger. Like,
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah.
It's got to be real.
Recording yourself.
Yeah,
with
yeah.
selfie is a bit-
Here I am. What are the
I mean,
chances
if
with my phone out giving a homeless person a burger?
You'll have someone filming you. You'll have a camera crew.
Yeah, of course I would.
Just
Absolutely.
catch this.
Mic'd up. What are the chances?
A real good example is when we visited Switch Up. It was like such an experience, wasn't it? The first time we went down there, and met Baz actually the first time.
Yeah.
And it just you can't.
It's a humbling experience,
yeah,
wasn't
is,
it?
Yeah.
I bet.
But then we went to that evening, dude. Can you remember? And it was he was on stage, the boxer,
What's his name? Roy Jones Jr.
Roy Jones Jr.
Yeah.
And he did this dinner speech, and at the end he's like, your family is being looked after by the community that you serve. You've made a very good living. You've raised your children in a business that's you have people from the community coming literally and paying you money.
Mm-hmm.
He said it's quite literally your duty to give back to the people who need it in the community. I was like, when he said that, and I know it's very cliche, and I know it's like it's almost cheesy, and I hope it don't come across like that in this podcast, but it properly struck a chord with us, didn't it? And it was like,
did,
no, you know,
and when you
what?
go down and see what's actually going on,
Yeah.
We support a charity called Switch Up. It's a boxing club, but they do a lot with the community. People who can't afford to eat.
Just kids are the last chance, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, people who are really struggling. Basically, they give them support with mental health counselling, literally shopping, etc. And it's direct in some of the poorest parts of the city. And we give 25p per invoice we do to that charity, and it makes such a difference to them. It helps them, pay for the rent on the building, new equipment, etc. And you can't buy that. And yes, it does help us with our content. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But it's a
the
good
right
thing to
thing
do.
to do.
And
It
it is
ties
a right
in, doesn't
thing
it?
to do.
It's like you're a good company. You want to be a better company. Like it's what it's all about.
But all the
isn't
staff
it?
have got involved with it multiple
Yeah.
times.
Yeah,
They've all done events around
Your sister
Switch Up.
even did a
Yeah.
boxing fight, didn't she?
Yeah. In all in aid of it. So,
amazing.
but I do think that whilst that's great for showing customers, I think it's way more important for showing staff the type of company
Yeah.
that you are.
Yeah, and that's sort of like what I was trying to bring it back around to is the fact that new staff, that we're trying to always be attractive to people that we want to employ moving forward. And typically being a difficult trade to recruit into, especially from outside of the trade, never mind people that haven't ever been in a trade, recruiting people from one trade into this trade, you want to make sure that you have a good rounded product and that people can see the vision of the company.
100%. Couldn't agree more. And then I guess finally, then that leads. We've covered the basics.
Yeah.
I know we've not touched much on SEO and PPC, but that's a whole different ball game.
It's a very specialist sort of field, and it works really well. But
my suggestion would be, if you are not experienced in it, don't even think about it for the moment, or pay somebody who knows about it.
Yeah.
to
yeah,
do it,
exactly that.
because
Yeah, and
it's
and
not worth getting
we
involved
haven't
in.
we haven't brought this up, but if you don't have the housekeeping in place, a great place to start is to go and speak to your suppliers. Your suppliers have teams of people that are to look at
That's
what
a
you're
good
offering.
point, actually.
Yeah, and we haven't actually spoke about that, but like I engage a lot with the suppliers for me to be who I am still. So like even though you would look and say that Nath is great following on lots of socials, he's got all the things in place, he looks like all of that, but without the engagement of the people around me, and I look to suppliers for that exactly, that they will have a budget to offer resources out to support you. So you're not on your own. That you have the people to the side of you, us are the garage owners, but you also you can look behind and look at the suppliers that supply.
So speaking in detail about what that is, typically you can, if you have particularly tyre suppliers, right? If you have a strong relationship with a tyre supplier, you can normally set a rebate up, not increase your costs at all, but they'll give a very small percentage of every purchase to a marketing fund, and then they have a team to help you spend that marketing fund appropriately to increase tyre sales. But we've used it several times, haven't we, Ryan? It shows.
But it's not only that; they'll also host a website for you. So if you don't have a website, they'll clean up a website. They can support you with online orders. There's
your website's done through your
So we have two. So we have two because of the business. Some hybrid business that we're sort of running, a decent size scaled service and repair business, and also a tyre side of the business too. So we host a couple of different websites, which comes with its confusion, and we have to spend quite a lot of time making that. I wouldn't recommend it. So if you're one entity in one area, stick to one website. Don't try and do that.
We're exactly the same boat, by the way.
Yeah. It becomes very difficult and very confusing, hence why we're sort of talking about housekeeping being so important. But yeah, so you've got lots of support around you. We've got the sort of housekeeping fundamentals sort of covered with that. I'm sure there's a couple of other bits that we might have missed. So if there is anything else, then we'd love to know what that is, so we can maybe discuss further at another point. But
to round off on PPC, like I've got no doubt it does work. But like Ryan said, just don't dabble yourself.
Yeah.
Just, if you want to do it, you need to make sure every single other thing is in perfect line, because
you can easily spend
blow thousands of pounds.
It could be a sieve. That's what it'll be.
You could spend a fortune and get absolutely nothing in return. So my recommendation, if you're going to go down that route, go speak to a marketing agency, because they will kind of test all of your other stuff before they start.
They'll stress test the business for you first. But if you don't want to do all of that,
then speak about social media.
Talk about social media. So social media for me is probably the biggest opportunity for anyone ever, whether you have as many followers as what we do as companies, or if you have no following, you have the biggest opportunity at the moment to go from 0 to millions of views, likes, engagement, whatever, within one single piece of content. And that's something that has only really come as an opportunity since the evolution of TikTok and other platforms picking up the algorithms.
Short forms.
Well, it's not necessarily short forms. It can actually be long forms. This is just understanding that, again, the fundamentals. If I go to the fundamentals of social media, what is it you're looking to achieve? And this is attention. All of this is around attention. And when people are actively on social media, they're not necessarily always going to find what they're looking for on social media. Potentially, sometimes they are, but they're often just scrolling.
Yeah.
Aimlessly scrolling. If you look at your screen time, your phone will always sort of tell you what percentage of your time you're spending on particular apps. So you can have a look for yourself to see what your actions are. But this isn't a game of what your actions are. This is a game of what your consumers' actions are. How much time are they spending on the phone? I love to try and think about what other people are looking at, whereas I think a lot of people are quite consumed about what they're looking at. It's not the game. We're looking at this is what your potential customers or what your wider community is looking at, and then creating content around that, and then also creating content for the platform, because every platform has a different strategy. If you think about why you have Instagram on your phone, why you have YouTube on your phone, why you have Facebook on your phone, why you have TikTok, LinkedIn, you have all these platforms on your phone for slightly different reasons. So make your content for those slightly different platforms. You have them for a reason. So that's how I tend to look at social media, and it's probably the biggest opportunity that anyone has at the moment.
It's not, for me, it's not necessarily just an opportunity though either. I think that I have a similar thought to how reviews work about social media. That social media, whilst in some instances it's actually going to generate your leads, which reviews don't generate your leads, what I think social media does best is it can convert people who are, again, looking at you when it comes to customers or staff. If you think about the bad review, good review situation, if you've got no social media presence whatsoever, which is the worst case scenario, or just slightly better than that, a Facebook page that you post on once every 3 months.
You're never updating
About your Christmas, what your Christmas opening hours are. And
2016.
The next time you post is on the hottest day of the year. If aircon's £50. Like, if a customer's looking at your social media to see, but they want to see what the company, they want to see into the company, they want to see who the staff are, they want to see what the premises looks like, they want to see a human, like, they want to understand the business more through social media.
The key to that as well is that people are not going to go out searching for you. You've got to produce the content for them to appear in the feed. It's not, you've got to be cropping up, not that they're going to come and look directly for you.
It's two ways, isn't it? I think if someone's considering using you, they might come and look. But if someone's considering joining you, they are definitely going to look, in my opinion. Like, again, if you've got perhaps a mechanic who's not got social media, fine. But if you've got a young mechanic who's potentially looking at joining your business, mid-20s, do you think that they're going to look at your social media?
I would imagine so.
I'd imagine so as well. And so I feel like, again, social media like reviews, whilst it does generate leads, it also makes all of your other marketing work better.
100%.
Well.
I think the big thing for social media for me is that it just leads on to the back of the brand. It really does. How your brand is perceived is, social media is just an extension of that. We create our content around the things we do as a business, and it all leads off at the back of that, really, for us.
But the things you do for the business, then you make them specific for the platform you want to promote it on.
Of course,
so
and I think we have to bring this up as well. Like, some people are going to say, well, I can't do Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn. And I mean, I would suggest
it's challenging.
Do one, be consistent. I really would. If and maybe have that on your website. It's a difficult one because we're in a little bit of a different space. But if you are a smaller business and you only got an option, a bit of time, maybe having the one platform may work for you.
I think there's got to be a point where we cut the here, because see what I did there? I didn't swear. I did really well.
Good.
I'm
gonna edit it in.
Yeah, I'll edit the swear word in.
Yeah.
You got to cut it, because it's like it's so important that you actually make time. You can't just say you don't have time, because you're almost dismissing the importance of what the opportunity is. Like, you can't just be saying that you have no time. It's absolute nonsense. You have time. You just have to set an appropriate amount of time to it. It's like, right, I'm going to spend this next hour on social media. At the minute, we have our guys that work for us. They come in and they will spend 20 minutes, and within them 20 minutes, they will make 50 pieces of content. That's how clinical we are, because we can't have it as a disruption to the day. Now, I'm not saying you need to be on steads like we are. What you need to do is you need to set maybe an hour and say that, right, let's just have a conversation around our strategy. Let's not just firefight here, firefight there. Just give it an hour to talking about what you're going to do with it. Let's look at making sure that all your logins, you have appropriate logins, your usernames are the same, and let's start making a bit of a micro strategy for everything, where you just consider posting and then seeing what happens. And then once you post, look at it, post again, and then start to get some insights on where you go next. Don't overthink it. Don't think just because I can't do it at the scale at Nathan.
And don't worry about feeling awkward either.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's like it's so, when you record. And it's probably worth them, Warsaw Wood Tyres on TikTok and Instagram and stuff. Just go have a look at the really simple content Nathan puts out, because the engagement is quite incredible.
And I imagine every single garage is just got so much content that they could shout about all the time.
Bags of it, yeah.
So and again, let's just break that up into, it's like, I think we've done really well. We've got a unique balance between entertainment and education, which has allowed like large engagement from both sides of the interest. Whereas you don't have to necessarily get millions of views to be a success on social media. If you get 3 views and two of those 3 views convert into customers because they are genuinely interested in what you've got to offer, then you would not deem that as unsuccessful. Now, you can't quantify where the views are coming from or where the customers are coming from. It's not necessarily the end of the world. It's the fact that you are promoting yourself on something that is free to promote on, that it's free to post. Like, it's free.
We had a good example. We had a young lad within Lindley's do a couple of simple TikToks, and it was, what's your favourite tyre brand? And there was a couple of other just completely like, when you're in the trade, just daft questions.
Yeah.
But when you're scrolling on Instagram or TikTok, oh, that's interesting. We've got
And then
professional.
you're 70,000 views off the back of it.
70,000 views. But what was interesting, whilst yes, obviously when you're taking that approach, there is going to be like a lot of reach that is not relevant really to you gaining leads. But when I was talking to this young lad, he was saying that all of his friends had seen it,
Yeah.
and they're all in Nottingham.
My niece said it as well.
Exactly.
I really love it. She's 13 years old.
So if you think about what that might translate into, is not someone thinking, oh, I'm going to book some tyres right now.
No,
but it's a brand.
Yeah.
The brand is just planted.
And this is the thing. It's like building brand has to be the largest strategy of your business. You have to build brand constantly.
I couldn't agree.
Otherwise, if you stop, you are no longer relevant.
And I think when we started, we've had a big learning curve with this. We used to try and do adverts based around like, these are our tyre prices.
Yeah.
This is who we're compared to. This is why we're so much better than what's it called. It just doesn't work. It never does. We did shows where we tried to give away things and people were just not
interested.
Don't want to talk to you.
But the best shows we did were where we just gave away Haribo and had a penalty shootout.
Yeah.
And
with
had
a big brand,
loads of
Lindley's
kids
branding,
wanting to play and their parents coming along. And it's just, again, when it comes to brand marketing, if you have a presence in someone's mind and they're then looking for a service that you're serving that market and you crop up, guess what? It's like, oh, familiarity. And that instantly normally builds trust straight away.
You probably get more success by giving away an entertainer voucher than you would by giving away a free service.
Yeah, you probably would. I mean, we learnt the lesson. It was an absolute failure.
You 100% would.
But you have to try, right?
Because you have to, and I think this is a big part of it. Like, everybody should try. I mean, there's not...
What you can't do is, I genuinely believe, in this day and age, you can't have a dead social media.
No, I don't think.
And as Nathan
there's a reason
said,
why every brand does it.
As Nathan said, it's like it's no excuse. You
No,
might
you have
be
to cut
really
it. You have to cut it.
really busy today, right? You might think I'm way too busy for this. You have to put time aside, just like you do with your accounts. Put time aside, even if you do one post a week, right? It's just
one post a week,
just whatever.
I mean,
you know, you find a tire which is cracked on, or it's got it's really bold or something like that.
Yeah,
it's content.
And again, understand what you're strong at. If you're better at educating than you are at entertaining, then just educate. Don't just because you see somebody else entertaining, don't try and be an entertainer if you're not. So understand where you're at. If you're an educator, then educate. If you can drop a bit of entertainment on it, cool. But if you're an entertainer, don't all of a sudden just try and be
don't be afraid to try that.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
You've got to try and find out where you are, haven't you?
Yeah, you've got to test. But what I'm saying is, otherwise you'll lose momentum if you're trying to be an entertainer when you're just not.
Yeah. Definitely.
But you will only know that when you get to the 20th piece of content. It's like, this just isn't working. It's like, cool, because you're probably really good at delivering clinical information about why that tire's cracked and why you should check your tires. But then if you could look at it and just go, look at the state of that tire, and that's really engaging, everyone loves it, then you're probably one side or the other.
And then the added benefit to, if you start getting integrating content, you can get your staff to join in. And it's engagement with the staff as well.
And then you go a little bit further. You go a little bit further, and then you can get consumer generated content.
Questions.
Questions. Get customers making content about your business. It's amazing because it's just energy from so many different angles, and that's like big picture, blow your mind. Cool, love to have a conversation about it. Might be a bit too much to a lot of early adopters now, but the opportunities are insane, and you don't have to spend money to start. You have a phone, you're watching it either on a phone or tablet or whatever. Use the camera on the back of it, and just go and record something, test, and then go again.
And don't be put off if you put some content out there and it doesn't do great in your eyes because you're comparing it to what other people are doing. Just remember, it's there for when someone comes looking. So if it's not out, if it's not reaching out to people, it's always there when people come looking.
Don't be afraid of just looking at the likes as well, because something we do quite a lot of car adverts. We sell cars as well. And often those adverts get very, very little likes. But if you look at the engagement of the photo clicks, unreal.
Real high engagement.
But let's just frame this for a second. Is like, we were talking about it earlier, that the amount of views that this podcast might get is disproportionately larger than the amount of comments that we get. So what does that mean? Does it mean just because we don't get comments that people aren't engaged? No, of course you are. It's the same thing as if I give you a video and I said that, this one's going to get 100 views, that's 100 people that have engaged with that, whether it's for a short period of time or it's for the full length. but 100 people have engaged with that. If I put 100 people in front of you,
It's a lot of people.
that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
So don't disrespect the view count just on the basis that you see somebody else gets 10,000, because that 10,000 might not be 10. There might be any conversions, but you might have 100. If it's very good quality and it's very direct in the particular area, then that's very good.
Yes.
Don't worry about it.
At the end of the day, it's all eyeballs on
Yeah,
your brand.
yeah. And then think about when you are making the content, you only have a short period to grab somebody's attention. You have 1 to 3 seconds at best to grab their attention.
But I think the bet that if for someone who's not savvy with social media, that just might be like, what on earth?
Yeah, possibly.
So I would recommend, I think you mentioned this in a previous presentation you did, download TikTok and go and look at what some other garages are doing.
No, just go and look what anyone's doing.
Yeah.
And just consume content. And if you're not,
But I think you'll be surprised. I mean, I follow a few people, a few garages now,
Yeah.
and I think it's definitely becoming a thing. There's definitely way more automated content on there.
I've loved it. I've loved it. There's so many people that are beginning the journey.
Starting on it.
And it's amazing to see.
But it's amazing what works.
Yeah.
Like you'd be quite surprised that a reasonably like what you would think is a completely mundane, pointless piece of information that's in your head, when put out on social media, actually really engages with car owners who are like, "Wow, I didn't know that. That's really interesting."
And you would never have thought it.
And you would have thought the opposite.
Yeah,
Who wants to
exactly.
hear my dulcet tones talk about what's my favourite tyre? But
And there you have it.
yeah, it's there. It's worked really well.
And again, go back to it. Just because it's free to post, don't do it. Don't not do it. Sorry. So go at scale.
Yeah.
So like for us, I've got a job rollout at the moment. So if there is any potential future marketing managers watching at this time of release, then I'm interested in talking to you. We want 400 pieces a week, which is insane.
Ryan will stick to 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, there's levels to it, and obviously I have quite a deep strategy on how we can actually achieve that. So don't be overwhelmed by me saying 400 pieces a week, but it's real life. The fact of the matter is, I have people say on the other side, "Can you post too much?" And the reality is no, you can't post too much. So don't feel like I'm posting too much. He's like, "You're not posting too much. Don't worry about it."
The platforms themselves will.
The platforms decide whether you're good. And again, this is just a bit of housekeeping about platforms and how they act. And I don't think people really consider this a lot, if any at all. That have to understand what their platform's business model is about. The platform's business model is to keep people on their platform for as long as possible, so they can sell advertising to the organic content. So if you understand that, you will start to figure out that if your post is no good, they won't show it.
Yeah.
They will show quality over quantity. So if you post, the only way you will understand if you can reach quality is by posting quantity.
Yeah.
So you have to post a lot to figure out what's good.
What works.
Yeah. If I post 400 pieces a week and it's the same old crap,
None of it's going to go.
it's never going to work.
Yeah.
So this is a game of looking at the insights, getting the feel, looking at the feedback, playing the game, and going again. So when I say 400 pieces of content a week, I'm not saying that somebody comes into the job and on day one and says, "I need 400 pieces." It's a case of, no, this is the plan. This is how we go.
And to not scare anyone into submission.
Yeah.
This is levels,
Yes.
isn't it? And you
Yeah.
just start, and then build up.
Yeah.
And even if that's like I said, one piece a week,
Yeah.
will work infinitely better.
Yeah.
And I honestly think that if you've got a Facebook page today, and if we were to look at some of those Facebook pages and there's been no post for 2 months,
Yeah.
you may as well delete your Facebook page.
Yeah.
It's actually going to be doing you harm, not good. Because if a customer happens to look at your Facebook to do some research, or a potential employee happens to look and it's dead,
Yeah.
what they're going to think about the business.
Yeah.
It's going to have a real negative impact.
Let's take a different understanding of it. It's like, Ryan, you've ran a lot of marathons and a lot of ultras. Could you do that on day one?
No, definitely
No,
not.
exactly. So
Yeah.
same thing is if you're not a content creator ready for the scale that you feel like it might be intimidating to reach, don't worry about it. Ryan couldn't run a marathon on day one. So he had to build up. It took time. It's okay. We're here as part of the journey. You've gone so many years and probably built a successful business up to now. It's okay to start now. You're not too late. Like, it's fine. Like, you don't need a large following. The following actually doesn't matter so much anymore. We was talking about this earlier. It's like you could have a 0 account with no following. No, you don't following. And if the quality of the content is so good that people are engaged with it, it can go insane. It can go ballistic.
You just a different thought process as well for people sat there who still listen to this and they think, well, I'm too busy anyway. I can guarantee everybody could do with more staff.
Yes.
Or find that a bit easier. So don't think this is, again, exclusively about getting new customers.
Yeah, no.
It all folds
I
in.
think this is a big mistake what a lot of people make, thinking, well, what benefit is it? You know, what I'm not seeing any direct return off of it. Trust me, you are. Trust me, you definitely are.
Yeah, you're building brand in perpetuity. The content that we put out, I'm well aware it exists forever.
Yeah.
I'm well aware it exists forever. This podcast here, this exists forever. Like, this is something that, like, we might be able to show grandkids down the line and go, oh, dads were talking.
Look at the crap they were talking.
Yeah, look at what an absolute load of waffle. But
I think another thing as well, just to go back onto the actual kind of content that you produce, don't just think it has to be around motor related stuff. I think, you know, your staff, again, we've gone back to it. Your staff, you've got a lot of things to shout about. If somebody passes a driving test, post it.
Birthdays, qualifications,
exactly. Yeah,
milestones.
that kind of thing does so well.
It really does.
And you know, people look at it and think, well, they care about the stuff.
Our content, definitely where it includes a member of staff,
So
a
much
face, a smile, does infinitely better than some content about aircon or
do you know why?
wheel alignment.
People buy from people.
People buy from people. So show your people, and also
be proud of them.
And
Yeah.
as I said, is what's better than for a member of staff who has a great post go really well on social media, who gets congratulated for loads of stuff. You know,
I can guarantee now. We had a guy recently who works for us who ran a 50-mile ultra marathon, and that got more engagement than any of our posts.
Because it's outrageous. What's he playing at?
I know it is. But,
anyone ever
that got more engagement than any of our posts promoting any of our products ever will, because people, reality, haven't got time. You know, like they don't really care about cars. A lot of people don't until it matters.
It's not that engaging, is it? Talking about cars all the time. So it's like, but the people that are involved in fixing your car want to know what's going on. So like when people come into our business, we can, if we start to engage with, if people in the business start to engage on the platforms that we promote on, then customers are going to come in and be like, oh, I really want to deal with that service advisor. I want to deal with Craig. We have people phone up. Is Craig there?
So like, for context, Craig is a bit of a TikTok star for Warsaw Wood, isn't he?
So he's one of the main faces of our social media.
So if you want evidence that it's working for inbound inquiries, people are now ringing up your business asking to speak to one of your technicians.
Yeah, feeling like he's a service advisor, he's a technician.
He's recognised out and about.
Sometimes to some people it's Craig's business, which is really cool.
So I think that like practically what we're on just short of an hour. So just to round up, if you sat there thinking, oh, I can't do any of that, just strip it back to basics. Start with the fundamentals.
Just get a bit of time in the diary and go, right, for the next half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour, I'm just going to look at how we look online. I'm just going to look at how we look online. Start there and then do that. Try and do it 2-3 times a week. Maybe do it in an hour after work when you've got no other distractions going on. And then just build. This is the marginal gains thing. And then we'll no doubt have lots of conversations around people that will talk about marginal gains, like 1% gains, whatever. We will get into that, but this same thing when it comes to your marketing strategy and your online presence. You must consider it as one of the most important things within your business, if not the single most important thing within your business. The way that you generate sales to the latest generation is directly accountable through your marketing.
Yeah, and the excuse of I'm too busy.
I don't want to hear it.
Well, it eventually won't be good enough.
I don't want to hear it.
Okay, don't want to hear it.
I don't want to hear it.
You heard it here.
Yeah, Nathan having it.
Right. Just short of an hour. Enjoyed that.
I really enjoyed that.
That's good.
I hope you enjoyed it too. To those of you, and if there's any comment, any value.
Well, I would welcome listeners to come and check out Lindley's Auto Centre social media, check out Warsaw Wood social media, and give us some critique and give us some
links
feedback.
in the body.
Yeah, I'll put some links in the description so you can actually check out what our strategies are. But
yeah, really grateful for Ryan as well coming in.
Thank you very much for inviting me on, guys.
Someone who's
really nervous,
living it every day. Well, you did. It was very good, mate.
Yeah,
didn't come across nervous. Very good.
Yeah, perfect.
Right. Okay. Right. Nice one. Thank you, Nate.
Cheers,
Thank
guys.
you for coming up again. Episode 6, episode 5, 6, whatever. Doesn't matter. Thank you, guys. We'll see you on the next one.
Cool.
Thanks.
Take care now. Bye bye then.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye bye, driver.
Bye.
Bye.